Welcome to the 8-week series, Stay Calm and Well in the midst of the COVID-19 storm. I'm Bernadette Melnyk, and I have the privilege of being Ohio State's Vice President for Health Promotion, University Chief Wellness Officer, and Dean of the College of Nursing. Today's lecture is focused on using cognitive behavioral skills to allay anxiety and depression. Well, even before the pandemic, people across the United States reported unbelievable amounts of stress. Now that we are in this pandemic, reports of stress, depression, anxiety are escalating even further. So it's really important that we learn cognitive behavioral skills that can help us to cope better with stress. COVID-19 is really creating so much additional stressors for people. What I want to emphasize is that if you are feeling overwhelmed under an incredible amount of stress, you are not alone. Others are feeling this way too. Fear of getting COVID-19 for ourselves, our loved ones, decreases in job security, increases in loneliness. People are under a lot of pressure financially, and they're not sleeping as well. We have gone from a mindset of thriving to a mindset of survival. But the skills I'm going to teach you today will help you, again, cope a little better. I really want to emphasize that if you are experiencing stress, anxiety, or depressive symptoms to the point that it's interfering with your functioning or your concentration, that is the time where you really do need to seek some help. Please don't be ashamed of that. Let's not continue to have stigma around the need for help for depression, anxiety, or stress. If you're with our university or another organization, reach out to the Employee Assistance Program. If you are a student, reach out to your university's counseling center for help. Well, this pandemic has also triggered a need for control. And we saw that initially by going to grocery stores and seeing so many shelves empty as people were buying out paper products, toilet paper, paper towel, and tissues. When we lose control, we often seek other ways to gain it back. And this is one way that people were attempting to gain control over a situation that they feel they have no control over. These are my two little pugs, Honeydew Melon and Bose. Dogs are really seeing the silver lining of this epidemic. They love being with us owners a lot more of our time. They're the ones, though, that are going to experience a lot of anxiety as we go back to work. I created this acronym, COPE with COVID, to remind us of some very simple things we can do to get through this pandemic. C, control the things you can, not the things you can't. Open up and share your feelings. And if you don't feel comfortable doing that, write them down in a journal. Practice daily stress reduction tactics, including physical activity. That is so important, to get out, take some brisk walks, do 5 minutes of jumping jacks periodically throughout the day. Engage in mindfulness. Be here now. I always tell people the two most wasted emotions are worry about the future or guilt about the past. When you feel your mind starting to worry, bring it back. Start to notice what's normal in your environment. What can you hear, feel, and see? Gratitude really works well. Count your blessings daily. If we focus on what we have versus what we don't, we will get through our days much better. Overturn negative thoughts to positive. We're going to be talking about that more for the rest of this lecture. Volunteer to help others, identify helpful supports and resources, and do your part to prevent spread of the virus. So cognitive behavioral therapy, or skills building, is the best first-line evidence-based treatment for stress, anxiety, and depression. But less than 25% of people suffering with stress, anxiety, and depression actually receive it. In cognitive behavior therapy or skills building, which I'm going to teach you some skills today, we teach people that how they think directly impacts how they feel and how they behave. So the active components of cognitive behavioral therapy are reducing our negative thoughts, increasing pleasurable activities, improving awareness and problem-solving skills, and a very important component of CBT is homework. But I don't like to call it homework. I like to call it skills-building activities, or put the content that you're learning in a practice. It typically takes 30 to 60 days to make a behavior change. It also takes 30 to 60 days to change a pattern of thinking. What we all experience that we don't even think about are called automatic thoughts. Those are cognitive distortions that we tend to have that result in us feeling anxiety, depression, and stress. Some classic examples are all or nothing thinking, such as, if I get anything less than an A on this test, it's not acceptable. Mind reading, that you think somebody else doesn't think you're smart or competent. Overgeneralization or labeling by telling ourselves, I'm stupid, I'm a loser, I can't do anything right. Mental filter is only seeing the negative, even though a lot of positive happen, such as I received 9 out of 10 answers correct on this exam, but I can't believe I didn't know the right answer to that one question. I always manage to flub something up. A lot of times we also catastrophize. I got a D on this test, or I didn't do that work task sufficiently, so I'm either going to fail out of school or else I'll never keep my job. I'll never get a decent one. And then there's should and must statements. I should be a better parent. I should be a better student. All of these cognitive distortions, again, that we have all the time lead us to feelings of stress, anxiety, depression, and also lead to unhealthy behaviors. So in cognitive behavioral skills building, we teach people the ABCs. A stands for activator event or antecedent event. That's something that triggers a negative thought to stop. For instance, if somebody cuts you off in traffic, you might think, oh my gosh, that person almost hit me. I'm going to be late for work now. I will then lose my job. I can't be late again. And what we teach people to do is stop that negative belief, turn it around to a positive. For example, that guy might be having a really tough day. He might have somebody in the hospital that he's rushing to see. So the key again is to monitor for these activators, turn them around when you really see them occur, so you will feel better and engage in healthier behaviors. So I want you now to think back to a recent time when you felt anxious, depressed, or angry. What was the activating event that triggered that negative automatic thought or belief? How did you feel? How did you behave? And how could you have stopped that negative thought and turned it around to feel better? So a key in cognitive behavior skills building is catching these automatic negative thoughts. I'm going to ask you the next time your mood changes or you're feeling angry, depressed, or anxious, stop and say to yourself, what was just going through my mind? And is it really true? Do I think this thinking is helping me? Or do I have evidence to back it up? Whatever you have to do to stop those negative thoughts is really important. You might visualize a stop sign. I used to wear a rubber band on my wrist. And when I had an activator that triggered a negative thought, I would snap the rubber band just to get in the habit of picking up my negative thoughts. We have so much evidence to show us if we put positive into our brains, positive thoughts and emotions are going to come out. So one way we can program our brains to think more positively is to practice positive self-talk. I would take statements that I would sometimes make and I'd turn them around, write them down, such as, I'm going to stay calm. I am healthy and strong. This won't last forever. This is not a warm and fuzzy exercise. If you say these positive self-statements 10 times in the morning, 10 times every night, you are truly going to start feeling better. You're going to experience less negative emotions. The other tip is that if you can get in the habit of reading 5 minutes in a positive thinking book every morning and every night, again, you're programming your brain to think more positively. A lot of people tell me, Bern, I have no time. I'm trying to get my kids off in the morning. I have school. I have work. I have no time to do this. I always tell people, you can do this. And I ask, do you go to the bathroom when you wake up in the morning? I have yet had a person tell me no. Put a book by your toilet. As you sit down, open the book, start reading. Good stuff going in, bad stuff coming out. And you really are programming yourself for a more positive day. A lot of people still have issues problem solving. And I always encourage people to learn the 4-step problem solving process. What is the problem? What are the possible causes? What are 2-3 solutions to the problem with the pros and cons? And after you develop those, pick the best one and act on it. Don't get into paralysis by analysis, as that only creates anxiety. Mindfulness Integrated CBT is where we combine cognitive behavior therapy with learning how to stay in the present moment. We know when we train our brains to stay in the present moment, we have less worry and feel less guilt. But it really does take practice. A wonderful book that I highly recommend is called The Present by Spencer Johnson. It's about a little boy who meets a wise older man. The older man tells him about the present, but the little boy thinks it's a material gift. And he searches for that material gift throughout much of his life. But when he gets older, he realizes the best gift in the whole wide world is learning how to stay in the present moment. But it takes practice. I'd encourage you, as one exercise, put a stick of gum in your mouth, count the numbers of chews it takes until it loses flavor. That's one exercise that you can learn to stay in the present moment. I encourage everybody during the day, at least 5 or 6 times, take slow, deep breaths in through your nose, hold it for 6 seconds, and then out through your mouth. As you do this, say to positive thinking statements. I am calm as you breathe in. I'm letting all my stress out as you breathe out. There's some wonderful stress management apps that are free. Right now, Headspace is offering their app to healthcare providers. We have Virgin Pulse with Will here at Ohio State. Cleveland Clinic has a stress-free app. Take advantage of these apps, but use them daily. They will help you to be more mindful in the present moment. So for your skills building for this week, I want you to think about 2 negative automatic thoughts or cognitive distortions that you typically have. Write down 2 positive self-statements and place them where you see them every single day, by where you brush your teeth or by your computer. Say them 10 times every morning and 10 times every night for the next week. Changing your thinking will honestly change your life. But as I mentioned before, it takes 30 to 60 days of consistent practice. But remember, positive in, positive out. You're going to start feeling much better if you practice your self-statements, you read in a positive thinking book. This coming week, I also want you to think about 2 situations of how negative thinking affected how you feel and how you behave. Then I want you to write down how you could have changed your thinking to feel better and to act differently. There are some wonderful free videos at our counseling center that I have up on the slide for you that I hope you will access. Lastly, we need to maintain hope. We need to remember rainbows will follow rain. There will be silver linings as we get through this pandemic. Please complete a brief survey following this presentation at the link. I hope you will practice these skills. I assure you, you will feel much better in doing so. And tune in for next week's lecture on how to stay active during the pandemic. Thank you.